Something that jumped out at me on your paper was you wrote on the difference between flow and meditation. And maybe some people do perceive flow as like a meditative state because you have this experience of loss of time and you're deeply focused and it generally it feels right or it feels good. But there is a difference. Yeah, and you shared this experience of performing at St. John Smith Square in London, which is apparently quite a venue to play at. And so you documented this experience. And I think it maybe articulated the difference, at least for you, between flow and meditation. So would you like to share that experience and what you learned from it?
Yes. So let me say that in meditation, the awareness is always there. You don't lose yourself. Once you're lost into your experience, and the awareness is no longer aware, kind of. If you understand what I mean. So, what happened at St. John Square, Smith Square, is that I got onto stage and was gonna play a piece that I love and I feel comfortable with, but still is enough of a challenge. And I played it and I got into this flow state, and normally it would be just a flow state that's great to be in as a musician. It's just flowing out of you, you don't have to think, it's just there. And of course, it's a piece that I have memorized, I don't have to read, I can just go into myself and it just flows out. It feels great. And, but for some reason that day, and this state I think all musicians know when performing, but that day there was suddenly a type of awareness that popped up, and I realized I was in this flow state. I also realized while it was going on that I didn't know where in the music I was. And had I just been immersed in this flow state, it didn't matter because it was just flowing
Mm.
and I wouldn't be worried about it. But because I had this suddenly a strange awareness, this awareness become really worried that I wouldn't know what note I should play next. So what if it stopped? So I tried with this part of me to find out where I was. So I listened to myself playing as it was still flowing. It's kind of strange because and I don't know how long this lasted, probably not very long, but I experienced it as very long. I tried to find different strategies. So I played this and this note, so it must be this that comes later. No, it wasn't that. So it must be there. And at some point I realized I had to stop worrying because otherwise I will stop the flow state
Mm.
and maybe I wouldn't know where I was. So I kind of let go of it, and then the next time I was aware of it, I was just in a normal, state of being out of the flow, but still playing because I could play this piece, and so I managed to get through the piece without this stopping that I was afraid of. But it made me really think. So what is this flow state? I've completely forgotten myself. It was just flowing, and meditation is not about forgetting yourself because then you're immersed in the experience. And experience is one thing that takes you away from meditation itself. So that's when I really started wondering what happens and what is meditation and music. We say it so easily,
Mm.
but what is it then? And that's when I kind of embarked into trying to find out, at least for myself.
It almost sounds like it was like an out of body experience, or you were this heightened awareness or this intense observer, but you were aware of your awareness. Yes, so, but it must have been significant because it sounds like you hadn't had that experience before.
No, and I haven't had it like that since either. It was like right now it feels like once in a lifetime. It's actually ten years ago. It was in 2013. Oh, can that be right? No, it must be more. It must have been
Oh,
like 2008. Yeah.
there you
So
go.
more, and I haven't had exactly that sense. Luckily, because it wasn't particularly pleasant, so then I would prefer either to be in just flow state and just let it flow, or in another awareness kind of state. The two combined was very weird.
It does sound weird because it sounds like you were in this heightened, anxious state. You were, you were worried while you
I
were in flow. It's
I got into the anxious state. It wasn't in the beginning. In the beginning, when it just started, it just came like that. Poof, It was like, oh my god, it's just flowing out of me. I have no idea where in the music I am. It's just flowing. How nice is that? But then it started. The what if I
then
didn't
your
know
mind
what?
started. Your mind started talking to you, saying,
Yes, but the interesting thing was they didn't stop the flow. Which I think normally when you get these kind of thoughts, you would actually come out of your flow state,
mm.
but it didn't at that time.
And you were very familiar with that piece. It sounds like,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Mm. Yeah, so it is fascinating, all these concepts like flow and meditation, and studying Ikigai's made me realize I really need to understand these concepts. And so flow is a good example. I think everyone has this idea flow is something you can ease into. And sometimes I think you can, but it's defined by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi as having a
Mhm.
certain skill set to meet a certain challenge. So it shouldn't be too easy and it shouldn't be too hard. So I think the same is for meditation. We have some idea of it, but some people think it's floating into bliss, where you described it as it's almost like work. Like it is hard to try to meditate.